That sentence stings because it speaks to loss, comparison, and rejection. Yet within it lies the seed of something greater, the understanding that being overlooked is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your transformation. When someone chooses another over you, the first instinct is to internalize it, to see it as a statement about your inadequacy. But rejection is rarely about truth. It's about perception. It's about timing. It's about someone else's limitations, blindness, or immaturity. What matters is not what they chose, but what you do next. Rejection is not failure, it's revelation. It reveals where your energy is no longer meant to flow. It unmasks illusions and saves you from wasting years chasing what would only hold you back. Painful as it is, rejection redirects you to the path that will sharpen your character, fuel your growth, and build the kind of life that no one can diminish. You may think he chose her because she was better, but that word is meaningless without context. Sometimes people choose comfort over challenge, familiarity over growth, surface over depth. He may have chosen her, but that doesn't make her more valuable. It only reflects his own readiness or his lack of it. And here is the paradox. Your worth is not defined by who chooses you, but by what you choose for yourself. The question is not, why didn't he pick me? The real question is, what will I do with this pain? Will you collapse under it? Or will you forge yourself into someone so powerful that his choice will one day look like the greatest mistake he ever made? When people leave, they believe they've seen the full measure of you. They think they know your limits, but they are judging you not by your potential, but by the version of you they left behind. And that is where your greatest leverage lies. Because the moment you decide to grow, to discipline yourself, to transform your life, you create a future self that they cannot even imagine. Transformation is the ultimate revenge. Not words, not anger, not desperate attempts to prove your worth to them. No, the true shift happens when you silently evolve, when you build a life of strength, clarity, and confidence. You don't chase them. You don't wait for them. You don't even look back. You construct a future so unshakable that one day, when they glance in your direction, they will feel the weight of what they lost, and they will look back, not because you begged them to, not because you stayed available, but because discipline and focus make a person unforgettable. The human mind always returns to unfinished stories, and nothing is more haunting than realizing the one you discarded became untouchable. But hear this clearly. The goal is not to win them back. The goal is to win yourself back, because the tragedy is not that he chose her. The tragedy would be if you chose to let his decision define the rest of your life. You must rise above the bitterness. You must take all the energy that wants to scream, "Why not me?" and channel it into building a life that answers that question without words. A life of power, health, clarity, and purpose. Think of the discipline required, waking up earlier, committing to your craft, investing in your body, your mind, your future. Every rep in the gym, every hour spent learning, every boundary you enforce, all of it adds to your strength. And that strength is magnetic. People cannot ignore it. When you walk into a room carrying yourself with certainty, when your life reflects focus instead of desperation, you stop being an option. You become the standard. Discipline and focus will make you unforgettable. Not to him only, but to the world, because people may not always remember what you said or what you gave, but they never forget the impact of someone who grew stronger when others expected them to fall apart. So yes, he chose her. Let him. His choice doesn't diminish you. It frees you. It removes distraction. It forces you to decide whether you will drown in resentment or rise into power. And when you rise, when you master yourself, when you craft a life so sharp, so aligned, so undeniable, he will look back. He will wonder what possessed him to turn away. But by then, it won't matter, because the one he wants back will no longer want him. Rejection is not failure, it's revelation. It reveals more than you think. It strips away illusions. It unmasks truth. It shows you who belongs in your life and who doesn't. The pain of rejection is sharp, but it is not proof that you are worthless. It is proof that you were brave enough to show up, to risk, to offer yourself in a world that thrives on indifference. Failure is when you stop moving, when you collapse under the weight of loss. Rejection, on the other hand, is a compass. It points you to the reality you must face and the growth you must pursue. When someone turns you away, your first instinct is to see it as a mirror of your inadequacy. You think, I wasn't good enough, I wasn't chosen, I wasn't worthy. But that is a false interpretation. Rejection is not an evaluation of your value. It's an exposure of circumstance. It says more about the chooser than the one not chosen. A closed door doesn't define the traveler. It defines the house it leads to. What if rejection is the very thing that saves you from wasting years of your life on something that would never have nourished you? What if it is protection disguised as pain? Consider this. Every time you are rejected, you are forced to confront yourself. You are forced to build resilience, to face the brutal honesty of life. Without rejection, there is no sharpening of character. There is no call to rise. Rejection pulls you out of comfort. It tears you from the fantasy that people will always see your value the way you wish they would. It reminds you that not everyone will understand you, not everyone will accept you, and not everyone will stay. But that knowledge is not a curse. It's a gift. It hardens you where you are weak, and it refocuses your energy on the places where your strength will matter. Too many people confuse rejection with defeat. They stop pursuing their goals, they stop showing up, they shrink back into themselves as if rejection has the final word. But listen closely, rejection is a temporary condition, not a permanent identity. The one who keeps moving despite rejection becomes unstoppable. The one who internalizes rejection as proof of failure becomes invisible. Which one will you be? Think about the most powerful people in history, the artists, the thinkers, the builders of civilizations. Every one of them was rejected, often more than once, often more brutally than you can imagine. Their books were dismissed, their ideas mocked, their presence unwanted, but they understood that rejection was revelation. It revealed who was blind to their vision and who was prepared to embrace it. It revealed where to invest their energy and where to withdraw it. And because they understood that truth, they endured. Rejection is also revelation of self. When you are turned away, you see your rawest instincts, bitterness, anger, shame. That exposure is not meant to humiliate you. It is meant to wake you up. It is meant to show you the parts of yourself that need fortifying. If rejection makes you collapse, then you know your foundation is weak. If it makes you rise, you know you are built on something unshakable. Ask yourself, what if the rejection you are facing right now is the doorway to the life you've been avoiding? What if the no you just received is steering you toward the place where your strength, your gifts, your heart will finally be met with recognition? If you knew that, would you still see rejection as failure, or would you thank it for exposing what does not belong to you? There is a deep dignity in refusing to let rejection define you. When you choose to stand taller after being dismissed, you announce to the world that your value is not up for negotiation. You cannot control who says yes to you. You cannot control who walks away. But you can control how you respond to rejection. You can let it shrink you, or you can let it refine you. You can let it silence you, or you can let it fuel you. Rejection is revelation because it forces clarity. It strips away the fantasy of universal approval. It demands that you separate your worth from external validation. And in that separation lies freedom. You are no longer chained to the opinions of others. You are no longer dependent on being chosen. You begin to understand that your mission, your growth, your purpose, these things cannot be rejected because they are not contingent on anyone else. So the next time rejection comes, and it will again and again, do not crumble. Do not see it as the end. See it as a signpost. See it as information. See it as revelation. Let it push you into deeper discipline. Let it ignite your determination. Let it strip away what was never truly meant for you. Because in the end, rejection does not make you weaker. It makes you dangerous. It gives you the clarity to stop begging for places you don't belong and start building places where you are unstoppable. Your worth isn't defined by who chooses you, but by the life you build. Too many people surrender their self-respect to the approval of others, as if being chosen is proof of value and being overlooked is proof of failure. That is a lie. Your worth was never meant to be decided by someone else's preference. It is revealed through the structure of your choices, the discipline of your habits, and the strength of the life you create with your own hands. Think about it. If your value could be determined by who accepts you, then you would be nothing more than a reflection of their fleeting emotions. One moment you would feel priceless, the next disposable. You would live like a leaf in the wind, carried wherever their attention blows. That is not living. That is slavery. True worth is not borrowed from someone else's recognition. It is forged in the fire of your own effort. Too many wait for validation. They wait for someone to say, I see you, I want you, I choose you. And when that doesn't happen, they collapse into despair, as if rejection proves that they are nothing. But the truth is far harsher and far more liberating. If you build nothing within yourself, then nothing outside of you will ever satisfy you. Approval will feel hollow, attention will feel temporary. But if you construct a life of meaning, discipline, and strength, no rejection can diminish you and no praise can inflate you. Look at the people who chase love at the cost of self-respect. They twist themselves, bend themselves, shrink themselves in the hope of being picked. And even when they are chosen, they feel empty because deep down they know they abandoned themselves in the process. Contrast that with the person who builds their own foundation, who focuses on growth, skill, health, and character. That person does not need to beg to be chosen because they are already living in alignment with their own worth. When you invest in your life, you shift the power. You stop waiting to be invited and start creating the table where others want to sit. You stop measuring your value by temporary affection and start measuring it by the progress you make, the boundaries you enforce, the consistency you maintain. You stop being defined by relationships and start being defined by character. Understand this clearly. Being chosen does not make you valuable. Being abandoned does not make you worthless. Circumstances cannot dictate essence. People come and go. Their loyalty shifts. Their choices are often made from weakness, fear, or convenience. But the life you build, brick by brick, through discipline and vision, that endures. That cannot be taken from you. The danger is when you hand over the power to define your worth. The moment you let another person's decision shape your identity, you lose yourself. You become reactive, desperate, fragile. You live on the edge of anxiety, fearing abandonment, craving validation. That is no way to exist. A life like that is not built, it is borrowed, and anything borrowed can be taken away. But when you root your worth in the life you build, rejection becomes redirection. Abandonment becomes liberation. Pain becomes fuel. You realize you don't need to be chosen to matter. You only need to keep constructing a future that honors your potential. People may walk in and out of your story, but the life you are building remains. That is the anchor. That is the truth. Imagine this. Instead of pouring your energy into winning someone else's approval, you pour it into your mission. You commit to excellence. You discipline your body. You sharpen your mind. You deepen your spirit. You surround yourself with people who grow alongside you. Suddenly, your worth stops being negotiable. You no longer fear rejection because you know the power of what you are building. You no longer beg to be chosen because you understand that the person who sees your value must rise to your standard, not the other way around. There is nothing more magnetic than someone who knows their value and builds relentlessly upon it. That kind of person doesn't crumble when ignored. They don't beg when abandoned. They keep moving forward. And by doing so, they become impossible to overlook. The irony is this. When you stop living to be chosen, that is when people start chasing you. When you stop asking, am I enough for them? And start asking, is this life I'm building enough for me? You change the entire dynamic. So yes, people may leave. They may choose someone else. They may overlook you. Let them. Their decision is not the verdict on your worth. Their blindness cannot cancel your brilliance. What defines you is not their choice, but the empire of discipline, strength, and clarity you build when you refuse to let anyone else be the author of your identity. You must decide right now, will you spend your life begging to be chosen, or will you spend your life building something that makes you unforgettable? Will you let someone else's decision break you, or will you let it push you to rise higher than they ever imagined you could? Because at the end of the day, their choice fades. Their affection shifts, their approval dies. But the life you build, the person you become, that is eternal. Your worth isn't defined by who chooses you, but by the life you build. And when you build it with discipline, focus, and courage, no one can take it away. Transformation is the ultimate revenge. Not anger, not shouting, not proving yourself to those who doubted you. The deepest, most undeniable form of revenge is not in destroying others, but in elevating yourself so far above the past that their betrayal, their rejection, their dismissal becomes irrelevant. When you transform, you do not simply respond, you transcend. Most people waste their lives chasing after validation from those who hurt them. They believe revenge is payback, a way to make the other person feel the same pain they felt. But that is a trap. Because when you spend your energy on retaliation, you are still bound to them. You are still living in the shadow of their actions. True revenge is freedom, and freedom is born through transformation. When someone underestimates you, when they leave you, when they reject you, they think they have seen the best you could ever be. They believe the version of you they abandoned is the final version. That is their mistake. Because the moment you decide to transform, to sharpen your body, to discipline your mind, to strengthen your spirit, you create a future self they could never have imagined. And when they glance back, they are forced to face the haunting truth they miscalculated. Transformation is powerful because it is silent. You don't announce it. You don't beg them to notice. You don't prove anything with words. You let time and discipline carve a new reality, and one day, without trying, your very existence becomes a statement. You are no longer who they left behind. You are no longer the person they thought was small, dependent, or weak. You are unrecognizable in the best way possible, but transformation is not easy. It requires that you stop living as a victim of your story. It demands that you take the pain they gave you and use it as fuel. Every insult becomes a reason to grow stronger. Every rejection becomes a reason to elevate higher. Every betrayal becomes a reminder that you can build a life so powerful that no one's absence can shake it. The beauty of transformation is that it shifts the balance of power. Before, they had the power to hurt you. They had the power to define how you felt about yourself. But after transformation, their power evaporates. Why? Because your worth no longer depends on them. Your strength no longer relies on their approval. You have become independent of their opinion. That independence is the sharpest revenge you could ever deliver. Think about the person who left you believing you would crumble. Imagine their surprise when they see you thriving, stronger than ever, carrying yourself with confidence, living a life of discipline and clarity. That image will sting more than any words of retaliation you could ever speak. And the best part? You don't even need to care if they see it. Transformation is not for them. It is for you. They may notice or they may not. It doesn't matter. The point is that you are no longer shackled to their memory. You have used their absence as the catalyst for becoming untouchable. The world will tell you to fight back, to get even, to prove yourself. Don't. That path is shallow and temporary. The deeper path is to rise so far beyond the old version of yourself that getting even becomes laughable. Why settle for being equal to those who tried to break you when you can become greater than they could ever imagine? That is the essence of transformation. Every day you have a choice. Will you stay the same, trapped in bitterness, replaying the past? Or will you take control, build discipline, and create a future that demands respect without a single word? Revenge built on anger fades quickly. Revenge built on transformation lasts forever. Because every step you take toward growth widens the distance between who you were and who you are becoming. And here is the truth. Transformation is not just physical. It's mental, emotional, spiritual. It's the way you carry yourself. It's the way you set boundaries. It's the way you refuse to shrink for anyone again. When you build that kind of strength, you don't need revenge. Your life itself becomes the statement. They will remember the version of you they dismissed, but the world will meet the version of you that rose from it. And that version doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't seek validation. That version commands respect, simply by existing. So yes, they may have hurt you. They may have rejected you. They may have walked away thinking you would never rise. Let them believe that, because your silence will do the talking. Your growth will deliver the verdict, and your transformation will make the past irrelevant. Transformation is the ultimate revenge, not because it destroys them, but because it liberates you. And when you are free, when you are powerful, when you are transformed, nothing and no one can touch you. Discipline and focus will make you unforgettable. Not looks, not charm, not temporary approval. What endures is the strength of your consistency and the clarity of your direction. People may be impressed by talent in the short term, but what leaves a permanent mark on the world is discipline, the relentless ability to do what must be done, even when no one is watching. Think of the people you truly remember, the ones who left an impact so strong that their presence still echoes long after they're gone. It wasn't luck that made them unforgettable. It wasn't ease. It was discipline. They refused distraction. They refused excuses. They built themselves piece by piece, day after day, until their very existence became impossible to ignore. We live in a world addicted to noise. Everyone is shouting. Everyone is chasing attention. Everyone wants to be seen. But most are forgettable because their energy is scattered. They start and stop. They commit, then quit. They are everywhere, yet they stand for nothing. But the disciplined person, the one who chooses focus over chaos, that person is rare, and rarity is unforgettable. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't shine in the moment. It often looks boring, repetitive, ordinary, waking up early, training when tired, studying when distracted, saying no when everyone else says yes. But over time, discipline compounds. It builds momentum. It carves a character so unshakable that people cannot help but notice. Focus cuts through noise. Discipline builds the foundation. Together, they create a life that commands attention. Understand this. Being unforgettable is not about being liked by everyone. It is about being undeniable. When you walk into a room with focus in your eyes, when your actions are marked by discipline, people feel it. They may not always compliment it. They may even resist it, but they will never forget it, because deep down, everyone recognizes the weight of someone who is serious about their life. Without discipline, you fade. You become just another person who talked big but delivered little. Without focus, you scatter your potential across distractions and end up invisible. But with both, with unbreakable discipline and ruthless focus, you carve yourself into someone who cannot be overlooked. You don't chase recognition, it chases you. The disciplined person doesn't need to speak loudly. Their results speak for them. Their consistency speaks for them. Their growth speaks for them. And when the world looks back, they do not remember the loudest. They remember the most relentless. Discipline is also freedom. At first it feels restrictive, saying no to temptation, holding yourself to standards, sacrificing comfort. But what it truly does is set you free from regret, from weakness, from being forgettable. Focus frees you from being lost in the chaos of options. Together, they free you to build a life worth remembering. And make no mistake, people remember strength. They remember resilience. They remember the one who kept going when others stopped. They remember the one who refused distraction, who stayed true to their path when everyone else detoured. That is what makes you unforgettable. Not a single grand gesture, but a lifetime of disciplined choices that compound into greatness. Think of the alternative. A life without discipline is a life that evaporates. No one remembers the person who was half committed, half present, half serious. No one remembers the one who let distraction destroy potential. A scattered life leaves no imprint, but a focused life, lived with precision and discipline, that leaves a legacy. So ask yourself, what are you building that will make you unforgettable? Are you training your mind, your body, your spirit with consistency? Or are you hoping that someone else's attention will give you worth? Because here is the truth. Attention fades, applause fades, but the mark of discipline does not. When people look back at you years from now, they will not remember the times you were comfortable, the times you indulged, the times you wasted. They will remember the times you pushed forward when it was hard. They will remember the standard you held, the boundaries you enforced, the relentless commitment you carried. Discipline and focus will make you unforgettable. Not for a day, not for a season, but for life. The world forgets the distracted, the undisciplined, the inconsistent, but it never forgets the one who rose each day, sharpened themselves, stayed the course, and built something that could not be ignored. So do not chase being noticed. Chase being disciplined, chase being focused, and you will not just be remembered. You will be impossible to forget.